What's happening, gang? Hope Message finds everybody well. Welcome back to the Built for Pressure podcast with me, Will Foden. Today, we're going to do a deep dive in relation to what an after action review is, how to measure, assess, plan, and execute your next phases of not only your training, but your profession, also you as a person. This framework has been stemmed from a lot of people will see this throughout the military. This is technically from the SWAT team. And what we're going to do is take the little principle that they have, and we're going to bolt it into what I now use within my process to not only reflect on my previous performance, but how to actually plan and strategize for what's up and coming across multiple different spheres in my own personal endeavor. So one thing for us to distinguish here is actually understanding what performance is. So there's a thought process around the intended performance and the actual performance. They're very, very different ball games. When I played rugby, what's the analogy from Mike Tyson? It's like everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. I had the same with rugby. It's all well and good having a plan against a team, but when they bring something out, do you adapt and do you move around with it or not? The same thing comes down with your vocation right now. You as a professional, you as a business leader, and also it can even be as a parent. Because just remember, just your thoughts, is the biggest war that you're going to have as an elite level operator is the war between your ears. The actions that you need to take are usually tick box exercises. They're usually things you earn the right to progress with. And what most of us do is we second guess ourselves. We don't know actually where our progress lies. And we actually don't know whether the visuals are matching the audio and our actions and our beliefs. And that is key to distinguish. What I'd like you to do, if you have never done this before, is please go buy a nice pen and buy a nice pad. Because doing this analog means it's an actual ritual around you doing this. Think about using an iPad, for example, as an iPad is a work tool. I do this for all of my trainings for my coaching. I also do this for my research. This has got no differentiation between actually what this does. I've got a nice pad and a nice pen. I use this framework in there. Why? Because I can compartmentalize myself and become a third person in my performance. And that's the key here. What's actually happening? What do I think's happening? And what is the truth? That is the difference. The truth bit comes from your reflective practice and understanding. Now, if you're into sport and you're an athlete, thinking of it another way is that you review the game tape. As a rugby player, we used to go back and do video analysis, and I used to get rinsed for whatever, not being tall enough in the line out, standard, being a sausage, vice versa. I can then work on things that are inside my process that were minor details. They were 1%. They weren't big things. They were small pieces of the puzzle. Where my foot needed to be for a certain tackle. How did I need to put my hands to make a jackal? How did I need to be in the right position for X to happen? This all happened from reflective practice and then execution, not from it happening by mistake. Because actually there's three pieces of the puzzle that you need to distinguish here. There is actual, what is the standard that you need to hit to actually hit the goal you're asking for? Most people that are watching this want elite level outcomes. Have you got an elite level process to match that outcome? That's the biggest question that I'll have for you. 2, how intentional is it? You cannot outwork a plan. So you cannot beat a plan that has got intent and direction. Because intent, the veracity of your intent is going to dictate the amplification of your performance. And that's the difference there, is that if we have got intent in what we're doing and we're extremely deliberate in exactly the action needed to do so, it's impossible for you to lose in that battle. Because it's like sharpening the head of an arrow. You're going to get closer and closer till it's the tip of the point, and then that's going to hit the target, compared to what most people do when it comes down to their reflection. Is it's a scattergun, and it's got this bastardized fucking wushu Dear Diary analogy, writing fucking 73 paragraphs about the day. It's not that at all. This is what had happened, what do I think needed to happen, how do I get better, and we move from there. So our practice is going to be cut up into 4 key states, and for you to write down. These are simple sentences for you to take. This is on a daily basis. There is a longer weekly after action review, which what I'll do is if you'd like a copy of that, DM me the word action via social media channels. I'll send you my weekly review there. But this is on a day-to-day basis, because what I see a lot of the time with professionals is they get lost with their days. And they don't actually have the game-changing principles in place to navigate real time. And that's what we're going to do here. So first things first is understanding what actually has happened. That's your reflection. And that's not an emotional thing. That should have measurable targets of some description. That should have actual landing pads for you to talk around or you to write down. So it could be around your training. It could be around your nutrition. It could be around your profession. It could be around you as a person. Are you actually, today I was chewing myself alive because I didn't do X. Be reflective, be descriptive. Number 2 is in what's your daily win. If you look into Carol Dweck's work around growth mindset, is actually you finding those wins, and even however small they are, doesn't matter. It means you've got an open-ended question compared to it being a finite full stop of today was shite. No, today was terrible. I was in an absolute hurt locker, but that but when, how, that's there's going to keep you honest and make sure you keep moving forward. So make sure you write down a daily win, no matter how big or small. Then it's Kaizen. Everybody on here probably should have heard of Kaizen. It's a Japanese proverb for always getting better. What's your biggest lesson of that day? What did you, an example for me yesterday? I've said for a long period of time that you'll see in previous trainings, I've got a buffer day on Wednesday where I block out the afternoon. That, for a long period of time, we use it as Adventure Wednesdays, which was time for my boy, and then to have a load, take a big step back from work. The last 4 months, I've not stepped back from work. I've had a longer break, so I've had 2 or 3 hours in the day to go and walk and do some cool stuff for my family, and I've got back to work. And I found it extremely frustrating because I felt in my head that I wasn't winning. I was thinking, fuck me, I've got this written down, why am I doing it? I talked to Rach last night, and she said, do you know how much nicer it is that actually you see your son on a daily basis and you have a funny 5 minutes every couple of hours, or you take him off and you get him on a trike and go and do 20 minutes here and there and then get back to work, compared to this perfect plan where you have a whole afternoon off massaging and how good. This is the difference that makes the difference. That's my Kaizen, is recognizing that the most important piece of the connection piece for my family isn't the big stuff. It's the little things. It's chasing my son around the island. It's running around in the garden looking for birds and bees. It's, do you know what, I'm absolutely melted. I'm going to take the dog up down to the hill with him for 20 minutes. It's the walk in the morning. Those are the key pieces. So that's my Kaizen for my person. And then we've actually got what's tomorrow's power plays. If you've not got power plays in your day, you're never going to feel like you've achieved anything. You have to have minimal things you need to attack that are pushing the needles of your performance. You guys and ladies should have cut this down into athlete, person, business professional, and leader. All these should have definitions of done and should have needle pushers in there for you to attack. And then some other quick pieces of the puzzle that you have to have locked in your day if you want to be a high professional that's got their health, your mind that works alongside you, and actually you're creating the impact that you desire. And it's, have you got your training and recovery locked in? Yes or no? That's not a gray area. Yes or no? If no, stop this, sort it out. Because your training is the gateway to your performance. Get that fucking in. If it's a rest day, how are you recovering? Be professional with your process, and your process will look after you. Next is, have you got white space in your diary? Have you got a time block where you haven't got anything to do? Why? Because we know that things leak into that you need to get done. So a factory only works at 80% capacity. I learned that off Kieran from Total Mental Performance on a podcast with him. It was really, really insightful. But he mentioned that a factory's capacity is built to run at 80%. So they have 20% wiggle room. If you try and run at 100% all the time, the minute you get overloaded with work, what happens? You break. So if you haven't got white space, you've got no buffer time. That's your 20% to work with. So if you haven't got that in, let's make it happen. And then lastly, have you got your power plays locked in? As mentioned, I'll reiterate it again. It's easier said than done. If you have not got that locked in with a finite endpoint, then you are going to lose. Because that's the difference that makes the difference, is we know that if you're progress driven, you are going to win. If you're outcome driven, you are going to lose at some point. Process driven means I tick the box on a daily basis. Outcome driven means I win or lose on a non-regular basis, and hence why you're fucking frustrated. So that's the after action review, how we use it. That's again taken from a tactical unit and put into a professional unit. But if you're looking to attain elite levels of performance across your mind, body, and business, and you want to have it all, and you resonate with being a high achiever, this is the standard. It's not a place where you dip your toe in and dip your toe out. You're either committed to actually being better and reviewing what you're doing and navigating on the move and taking responsibility for it, or the latter, blaming other people, blaming situation, and being reactive, and the reason why you're struggling to maintain your health, body shape, and performance whilst creating impact, freedom, and cash is down to your responsibility. I hope that's helpful. If you do struggle with this, or like I mentioned, if you've enjoyed, want help, or you'd like a copy of how I do an after action review, DM me the word action. I'll send you it for free. No email required. As I said, for you being a valued person of listening to this podcast, I massively appreciate that you're part of this. If this could be helpful for somebody else, you found this helpful for you, I hope this is an absolute game changer. Please drop a DM, say hello, don't be a stranger, because the whole point of this is to build a platform where we've got connection across wherever it is in the world. I appreciate every single person that listens to this. And anyway, until next time, I'll catch you soon.